currently squeezing through some foliage, as you can see, and hopefully you can hear me over the water that you can hear. So believe it or not, we've had 6 days of abysmal weather. Today looked exactly the same, so I've headed out to Clare Glen waterfall, and would you have it, the sun come out, and it's not what you want when you want waterfall photography. It's the exact opposite. So don't seem to be having much luck here, but I don't care. So we're going to have a look at these falls. There you can see them through the tree. So let me set up and see what we can pull together on this now too bright day. All right. Oh, hello and welcome. Well, I'll try and get everything in my pockets. Okay. So this is the first falls along here. So we're at Clare Glen waterfall, and there's a series of cascades all up and along here. But what I'm hoping to do is just capture this first cascade that we have here. And you'll notice now that the sun is coming out. It's not what I wanted. So we may have to wait a moment or two for that to disappear. But in the meantime, I can tell you about this composition. So what we have here is this series of cascades just here. And you can see that there's another little tiny part to it there. So I think we're going to have this image in. I'm probably going to take 3 images here. I'm going to take one of this once that sun dies down. I'm going to do a panorama to here, and then I'm going to see if I can compose something this way, if I can. This one actually doesn't work yet because of that big rock and the falls off to the left, but I'm hoping to move further down, if it's safe, move further down the bank here on the right and shoot back up. But yes, so this is what I want to compose, and so you can see that I have, you have to forgive the glare. This is sort of the composition that you can see. I'm at 1 second f11 ISO 100, so I'm hoping that will give us a nice movement in the water. I'm just going to wait. I am going to wait for that sun to pop behind a cloud, and as soon as I look up at the sun and then look at you, I'm blinded. So there's hardly a breath of air here. So I'm just going to wait for that to die down, and then I'm going to take a series of shots. I will have to focus stack. Okay, the sun's going, so I'm going to take a series of shots. So I'm going to zoom in closer, fill the frame. I like that tree leaning in. There we go. And sun's coming back out. So I'm just going to have a look at that and see what the specular highlights are like. And they're quite blown. So I know that I need to come down to ISO 50. And I'm going to increase my f-stop to f16. And the sun's popping away. So I'm now going to do that again, and I know I can bring back the shadows because I know this camera. I just want to check that again. Wonderful, yes. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to punch in and see if I like the texture, and I do. 1 second is perfect. Okay, so now that I've got that, I am now going to attempt to do that pano. I'm going to lock the focus on the main thing, which is that falls. I'm going to, oh, blinded myself. I'm going to go for it. Actually, I'm going to give it a little bit extra room. You should always give your compositions a bit more room. There goes the sun. So this should be a 3 or 4 image panorama. I'm going to do 5 to give a little bit more room on this side. All done at 1 second, ISO 50 at 16, preserving those highlights, ensuring that that's, you know, nice and level. If you are the key to making sure that it works and it's easy to stitch. This is the green line there, which is my horizontal level line. As I'm shifting, that green line stays true. Stays green, so that's perfectly level. Should be easy to stitch. Now there's 2 ways in which you have to do that. First is to make sure that your bubble on the top of your tripod is absolutely spot on. And I've got a second way of doing this. I make sure my tripod's level, and then I make sure the head is level, because I've got a bowl here. So I've got 2 ways of doing it. I adjust the tripod overall using my legs and adjusting each leg to get that bubble central there. And then what I do is I use this one, the bowl, just to make sure, fine tune it. And then that way I test here before I do the panorama that if I swing through that arc, it's green. I think I won't have to move far, I think, for this next shot. I think what I want are these little falls here, maybe this stick, because there's some swirling action of that water, and it is going around that big stone, but I'll probably only keep a small portion of it to anchor that right-hand corner. I'm thinking of doing 15-20 seconds just to get those swirls and smooth out all that water. So let me set up for that and I'll bring you along. So I'm going to take a 1 second shot for the falls themselves, because 1 second works well, I think, for that water. So I'm just going to check that and see if I do like how that's falling. So that's okay. And I am also going to check that water gushing in, because that's actually moving at a faster pace. So I may leave that part of it as it comes through as 1 second. But what I really want is a longer exposure, so I get those bubbles streaking through the image. So we've got 1 second. A 6 stop will give me a minute, which is probably too much, especially looking at the sun and the sky. So before I pop that on, I'm just going to lock my focus on them falls. and so 6 stop will give me 60 seconds. So I'll bring my ISO down. Just got to wait for that sun to disappear again. It is sparkling through. It's actually dappling some of this stone to the right, so we can only experiment. So I'm going to 50 seconds here. I am f16. It is actual ISO 160, but I can play with that if it's too bright. And the sun is threatening to come through and ruin it. Now I would really ideally be able to get out to that stone and shoot directly up the falls, but I can see that the rocks are absolutely covered in that dark green slimy lichen, and it goes very deep in places. I really won't take the chance. I know I suspect I'm going to go slipping down there, so I'm not going to take that chance. So let's see if we can get in a little deeper behind you and then see what we can pull together. Being very mindful here because it is very slippy. So I'm taking each step carefully and testing my footing as I go and seating my camera. I want to be here if I can, just here, and I can, safe. Okay. Move the camera, set that up safely. Remember, never step back. So I'm just centering the center bubble. There we go. And then set that perfectly, green line. My bowl is set. I now need to look at this composition. There we go. I've got the water coming in from the top right and exiting at the top left, exiting bottom right. And what I've got to be careful of, that you can see here, is that there's some dead space at the bottom left hand corner. Previously I had this composition like this, and there was just 1/3 was just horrible dead space, so I've adjusted it just like this. So I've got the top left water, bottom right water, a nice little vertical falls right in front of me, and a frame of this rock in front here. What I am going to do now is I'm going to, and I hope you can pick it up, I'm going to adjust the polarizer. I don't think you're picking it up, but there is definitely, and you might see it here, the rock to the left is shining on top and then darkening away there. So the polarizer is doing its job, even though you can't see it properly because of this sheen. Again, apologies that I don't have my recorder monitor. I'm doing the best I can. Okay, so now I can remove our 6-stop, come all the way down to 1 second, and I will have to focus stack this one. I'm down to ISO 100, and I'm going to focus on this near rock that's framing the bottom, and then I'm going to move up a couple of spots, quick wipe, take that shot. I'm going to do that all the way up to get every bit that I want in focus, and that is quite nice actually. And there we go. Now I think we're going to try and do one more shot across these falls, incorporating this green moss and this torrential water. So very carefully adjusting ourselves. I'm not going to step on that, that's slippy. And once again, I only need a couple of shots as a focus stack here. I'm going to check and see whether I like the texture. The texture's lovely. Many thanks for persevering with us throughout these videos. I think some of them may not have been the most exciting videos that I've put out, but that's the nature of landscape photography, isn't it? You can't bank on the conditions that you want. I've had a ball though. I've had a really good time here, enjoyed it every second, and oh wow, yep. What can you do? You've got to battle the weather, the elements, nature. You've got to battle it every step of the way. So, yeah, puts a smile on my face anyway. So, listen, please look after yourself, look after your loved ones, and until next time, hopefully with more sun. See ya.